Hello everyone and welcome back to another video here. It's Christian once again from the Calcio Bros, and I do want to give a great thanks to, I was actually kind of surprised so many of you guys tuned into the last video, so I'm really thankful for that. It's definitely a great change of pace and great to see that more people are tuning in, which I really like to see. So I want to get talking about what happened this weekend. So it was round 19, so that means we are at the halfway point now of Serie A. The first legs are all done. The andata is all done. So now we have the ritorno, as it's called, the Giro di Boa, um, coming up. So it'll be all the games being replayed now in the reverse fixtures. So it's time to talk about how we see some teams now after 19 games played. Well, again, the exception of Juventus, Napoli, who have each a game in hand now. But in general, all the teams now have played 19 games. We're at the halfway stage of Serie A, so now here's where things get way more interesting, and it gets even more edgier as here. This is where teams look to solidify their places in Serie A for safety. A lot of teams will try to get the secure their qualification into the Europa League, Champions League, and we're also going to have the battle to see who will finish on top of Serie A this season. So now let's go on to talk about the results that took place to cap off this weekend. On Friday, we had just the one game, which is Benevento Torino at 2:45. This finished in a 2-2 draw, which saw Torino come back from 2 goals down, and it was Davide Nicola's first game in charge of his former club that he played for way back in the day. So he managed to get a point here for the Granata on his debut. So some positive signs there. Moving on to Sunday, 9 a.m. to start off the Saturday, which was an intense game here. Roma edging out Spezia as they were looking for revenge after their Coppa Italia defeat midweek to the Ligurian side, which saw the game level at half, but then Roma go up 3-1. Spezia tie in the last few moments, but Pellegrini, a late winner here, secured the Giallorossi all 3 points and perhaps kept Fonseca there for a bit longer as well. We'll touch on that shortly. We had 2 games here on Saturday at 12 o'clock, which were Udinese Inter, which finished in a goalless draw, and then Milan hosting Atalanta with La Dea securing a victory 3-0. So a huge heavy defeat there for Milan. And despite the loss, they did secure winter champion status because of Inter's draw. And like I said in my last video, it was very strange to hear that a lot of sources were already stating that Milan were winter champions last round, but it wasn't so, as I did tweet out earlier in the week, and I will restate this again, as only one game was played. Even though Milan did beat Inter earlier in the season, they are not counting the one game to consider for that, so they are going on the goal differential, and as Inter had more goal differential than Milan, if Inter won and Milan had lost as they did, Inter would have became winter champions. But either way, Inter tied, Milan lost, so Milan were dubbed the winter champions. But as Ibra says, that means nothing. It only counts at the end of the season. So we're going to talk more about that as well. And to cap off Saturday, we had Fiorentina Crotone finished in a 2-1 victory for the hosts. Bonaventura scoring a lovely volley from outside the box for his first in a Fiorentina jersey. Going on to Sunday now at 6:30, we had Juve Bologna, and the Bianconeri were looking to bounce back after that Derby d'Italia defeat, which they did. 2-0 victory thanks to goals from Weston McKennie and Arthur. Those two really solidifying the midfield there for Pirlo's side. Going on to 9 a.m., only 2 games. So we had Genoa Cagliari, and Genoa picking up an important victory 1-0 thanks to Mattia Destro, who's really finding his scoring boots now. And Ballardini now has 11 points since he's been back, more than they had previously before he joined. So he's doing some great work now with them. It's always I know it's now the 4th time they brought him back, and yeah, he does have his moments of failures, but for a coach who's always done so well with Genoa, like just keep him, even with the times they really falter. Just keep him because he's always turns them around somehow. So, and that also does condemn Cagliari to another defeat. They are winless, and I want to say now it's 12 matches winless since November, February. Oh my God. Um, no, they are winless since November, and the strange thing was Cagliari extended Di Francesco's contract, so it seems like they really believe that he can turn things around. But uh, isn't he part of the problem here? I don't know. I'm not in charge of these clubs, so I can't say what they're thinking. The other 9 a.m. game was Verona at Napoli. Napoli going up really early thanks to Irving Lozano, who scored within, I believe it was 7 seconds of the game, just very close to beating Rafael Leao's goal, but Verona managed to turn things around and win this match 3-1, and it was incredible their turnaround here. It's been a long while since Verona managed to beat Napoli at the Bentegodi, but they did it with a great turnaround. Napoli in more crisis as it is. Gattuso risking the sack now, and there's rumors of Benitez coming back to Naples. So he was the one that really got things off for Napoli way back in the day in the Hamšík, Lavezzi, Cavani era. So it would be interesting to see how he would change things at Napoli, but we can't blame all the things on Gattuso. It is a lot on the players as well. We'll discuss that a little more with just these two more last games. So we have Lazio Sassuolo, which was at 12 p.m., where the Biancocelesti came back to win this game thanks to a Ciro Immobile goal, because who else scores their winning goals for them? And now this means Inzaghi's men have won 4 straight games, and they are picking themselves up, getting confidence, and slowly but surely they are moving up the standings, and it makes things even tighter in the top 6 race right now. And to cap off the weekend, round 19 was Parma Sampdoria, and Ranieri's men came away with the victory, 2 goals. I will want to say that Parma got very unlucky considering they've hit I think it was 2 or 3 posts that game. Adaro making saves when he had to, but that was a good victory here for Sampdoria, who also found a clean sheet, or an away clean sheet, or just a clean sheet after 14 matches. So that was, it's either away clean sheet or just consecutive matches. I can't remember now. But credit to them, they managed to tighten their defense up. But Parma struggling once again now. D'Aversa doesn't seem to be able to change anything here. He is trying, but not sure if it's too late for Parma right now. All right, so time to just talk about some of these games right here. Uh, we'll talk about Roma Spezia, which again, where Roma wanting revenge on Spezia after that disappointing collapse at the Olimpico earlier in the week in the Coppa Italia. So for those of you that don't know, Spezia were up 2-0. Roma managed to fight their way back and bring the game into extra time. But Roma went into more difficulties as it was. They went down a man with Mancini getting sent off, but not even a minute. 30 seconds passes by, and Paul Lopez sees himself getting sent off with a straight red card as the last man tackle. So Roma down to 9 men, and then Fonseca makes 6 changes. Yes, 6 changes, more than you are allowed. Thankfully, the ref does not have to say anything. He's not obliged to stop them from making it. Not sure why, but anyways, he's not obliged to do that. So either way, Roma would have lost the game. Due to technicality, so which they did receive that 3-0 favor, or 3-0 loss. One thing too is, maybe I can see why Fonseca did it. So as we understand, the league has given permission teams to use 5 substitutions this year in 3 separate instances. So you can make 2 two changes than one, or however, but it only can occur in um, three times throughout the match. But FIFA has even, or UEFA, I think it is, have said in any competition that a match where it goes into extra time, and say if you've made substitutions at those three instances, but have not made a fifth or fourth or whatever, you didn't make all five substitutions, you are allocated an extra slot to make a substitution in extra time. So that's probably where he was thinking he was allowed that extra substitution, considering most of the times, as we've seen in FIFA World Cup recently and Euros, Champions League, if it goes to extra time, you're allowed a fourth substitution in extra time. So maybe that's what he was thinking. He's allowed that extra sub because it is overtime, but he was probably allowed that extra slot. But I don't know how no one picked up it's a six. I can see maybe that's why he messed up there, but they have fired their team manager and someone else, and then Jeko Tankley wasn't playing for this for an injury, but there's more probably to that, as he did get in a big fight with Paulo Fonseca, so he could be out of his way out of the club. And this win here against Spezia helps keep his job for now, as Roma were winless in their last three games in all competitions, so they were really hoping for a bounce back here. Again, as they did tie Inter and then lost to Lazio, so this was a big win for them. And like I said, Spezia did fight back. They tied it very late in the game, thanks to a former player in Verde, who tied it right in the 90th minute. But Pellegrini, in the last dying minutes, 92nd, 93rd minute, scoring the winning goal and securing Roma all 3 points here. And I will give, like, Spezia have been given credit. They have played exceptional. They have played well. They have given teams a challenge, and they don't go down without a fight. So that would have been huge problems for Roma too if they could not seal the victory. They managed to do it. But Spezia know now they can really fight and push these bigger teams, and will hope to continue picking up points, and so maybe tighten up the back, especially at the end, to make sure they don't concede like that again. Because these points, because that would have been a crucial point for them at the Olimpico, especially going forward, and especially that a lot of the other teams were dropping points, it would have really helped. But now they know that they have to continue and keep pushing against these big teams. And like I said, this is a huge win for Roma, for Fonseca, and it does put even more pressure on the teams under them and the teams above them, as they are creeping closer to Inter, Milan, and trying to push farther away from Juventus, Atalanta. But if those other teams win their games, it's still going to be even tighter. Now, going even back to the midday games there, as I was saying, Milan needed a draw or a win to solidify winner champion status, while Inter needed a win and was hoping for a Milan loss, but Milan lost, but they couldn't get the job done themselves. Inter going with a goalless draw, and did have it, and they really did have their chances in this game. But Musso has been one of the better goalkeepers in Serie A as of late, and really putting a great performance there for Udinese to give his side a precious point. And one thing too, Conte as well was sent off late in the game for more protest towards referee Maresca, and he, if you do watch the video, saying it's always him, it's always you, it's always you, and he was sent off for that, as well as another member of the staff. So Conte now even risks a 2-match touchline ban, and Maresca, as said by Nicola Rizzoli, the head referee designator, has said that Maresca will not referee Inter for the time for a long while, and may not referee in Serie A for some time. So there are a lot of questions there as to what, I don't know if it was just for something the players did, but or even previous experiences, because it seems like Conte and Maresca don't have the greatest of relationships too. And as looking more into it, there was some physical altercations in the tunnel. So that could really hurt Conte's chances of missing some time for Inter. And if it's more than 2 games, he could potentially miss the derby as well, as that is on the fourth match day, round 24. I want to say 23, 24, 23 maybe. Yeah, round 23. Um, but I don't think he'll get a 4 game suspension. Maybe 2 at least, but it depends what they assign. But Inter really were looking to capitalize, considering they definitely knew how the Milan game was going and how well they played against Juve last week in the Derby d'Italia. Um, Going on to Milan as well, like they were missing a lot of player. Well, compared to before, they were missing Romagnoli, Benacer still, Çalhanoğlu, and they were missing. Oh my God, I'm blanking now. Um, yeah, but they were missing a fourth person. They did just get Hernandez back as he was a false positive. Uh, Krunic and Rebic coming back as well. They didn't start, of course, but Milan seemed to get on an early start, but Atalanta really put on the pressure and did make them pay. They it was only up 1-0 in the halftime, but Milan just didn't look like they had anything going. They even tried Mete at trequartista role in the absence of Çalhanoğlu and instead of Diaz, I think just to match the physicality of Atalanta, but it didn't pay off as well. And you could see Mete's was not comfortable playing in that role, especially in a role he's not accustomed to, as he always plays that holding midfielder. And it just seemed like Gasperini once again topped Milan, as the real last heavy defeat Milan suffered was against Atalanta 5-0 at the Gewa Stadium, and that's where Milan sort of got their momentum going from there, as they picked up from that loss. And I don't know if Maldini still has more work to do. Salamakers, that was the other person I forgot was missing from the game. As I remember, that Castillejo had another poor performance for them. But anyways, Atalanta, it's an interesting stat too. I don't have the full statistics as I was reading it, but with Papu, they're only getting 1.2 points per game whenever he's played, but without him, they're averaging like 2.3 something. It's something along those lines without him. So they are playing much better without Papu Gomez and picking up even more points without him. So Gasperini is getting more out of his side here, and it's considering they drew their last 2 games against Udinese and Genoa. This win is huge against the Rossoneri, and it's another, I guess we'll say another lesson, kind of humbled, not humbled them I want to say, but Milan were due one of those bad games. This is where they need to see how they can pick up and go forward and see if they can continue their momentum going forward. And Juventus too, so last 2 matches too I'm probably going to talk about would be the Verona and Juve game. If you have any other comments about any other games, these are just, I feel, the kind of the more important ones in some ways. But Juve picking up an important victory, as I said, after that disappointing defeat. They picked it up, and McKennie and Arthur getting the goals here. And one thing too is McKennie and Arthur are probably the best 2 midfielders Juve have this year. Arthur is starting to get used to the system, get adjusted to the way Serie A is. McKennie, who would have thought, like he's not a world-class player, not someone that you have to pay like 100 million euros for, or not 100 million, that's just way over, but like, 50, 60. He's bought for a lower, like on loan with an option to buy for a lower amount, and he's proving to be one of the best pieces of business for Juve this year, and he's really helping to run out the midfield. He scored his 4th goal now for the club, and he's helping command that midfield. So they do play much better when he is in the side, and I think Pirlo needs to play Arthur and McKennie together more often if he wants to help put more pressure on these top sides and help Juve get back on track into that top spot after their slow start this year. If you agree with me, be sure to let me know. If not, tell me who else you see for that middle in for that Juventus side. Now, going on to, like I was saying with Verona and Napoli, Gattuso really risked the sack here. This is Napoli's sixth defeat now in 18 games, but they have not played well, especially in some of these losses, especially a couple weeks ago that he lost at home to Spezia. So that was another disappointing defeat. And you would think, when Napoli get themselves going, they're on fire after, especially defeating Fiorentina 6-0. Who would have thought they would go on to give away a lead here, or not even being able to double it at all, like to score more goals? That's the thing with Napoli this year. They are very inconsistent, and not necessarily, you can't blame everything on the coach. At one point, it is the players that aren't doing the jobs they're supposed to. And I know it's hard because even Silvestri is one of the better goalkeepers in the league, and I could see him leaving in the summer as well. But Verona did well. Juric, with a lot of players that, again, were sold over the summer, like um, Ramrani, Kumbula, and Amrabat. He's really put together a good team. Zaccagni playing exceptionally well this year. Barak as well. He is picking it up too. There, Silvestri at the back saving goals when he needs to be. So Gattuso really has to reflect. He keeps saying it's his fault, but there's only so much he can do. It's also on the players to do it as their jobs as well, as this is what they're paid to do. They can't keep giving up leads like that. So anyways, those were all the results. Like I said, Genoa get the important victory. Lazio keeping up their momentum, and then Parma condemned to another defeat as it is. So if there's any particular results that you wanted me to talk about, be sure to comment below. Let me know what results and what results you would have liked me to talk about more, any other things that I miss, and what are your thoughts of this weekend's matches as well. So now talking a bit about the standings, as I said, we are at the halfway point here. Some teams like where they are. Some teams would be disappointed to find themselves in certain positions. So let's talk about the bottom. Crotone still remain last with their loss. Parma and Cagliari are the other two teams in the bottom, both teams not having won since November, and I don't think anyone would have really thought that they would be here. I know it really seemed like, you know, the new owners bringing in Liverani was probably a mistake. Um, he is. I know the whole change of ownership didn't help over the summer as well. For Liverani to really get a hold on a team that was used to playing defensive football, as Liverani likes to play attacking football. It just didn't help, and it really costed Parma early on. If that happened, I would have could say to keep Diversa maybe till the end of this season, and then maybe get Liverani next season. Who knows? But this is just the way I feel. If you wanted to change coaches, maybe wait. But yeah, it's no one I don't think really expected Parma, and it especially they did lose Kulusevski. Not over the summer, but last season he was joining Juve at the end, and it did seem like they're really dependent on him, feeding the strikers, Cornelius, helping out Gervinho. It seemed like he would bring a lot more to the team, and it doesn't help that he's not there. So they really need to find someone else. I know Diversa keeps saying he needs players coming in, and they're working at bringing more players. They are rumored with Benatia. They did ask, after bringing in Conti, they did ask Milan for Musacchio and Krunic. So they're looking for more players to hopefully help them fight away from relegation. As I said, Cagliari too. They have not won since September. They re-signed Di Francesco, and I'm really dumbfounded as to why. Cranio has probably been one of their more exceptional players, but there's only so much he can do to keep out goals. The whole back line is shaky. Simeone on a huge goal drought as he's not able to find form and secure. It's mainly just Pedro. They brought in Nainggolan too, but again, there's only so much he can do. So they have a lot to work on if they hope to get anything out. Torino, they just fired their coach. They picked up an important point last round out, and they hope that Nicola can get Torino to play much better and push themselves further away. Ballardini already doing a magnificent job with Genoa. Destro already scoring his 7th goal of the year, and he's really on fire ever since he scored against Milan those few weeks ago. And he's helping to pick up the pieces and helping to find the back of the net to help push Genoa away from the relegation zone. They now sit 4 points above the bottom 3, so that's an important result. Spezia are also 4 points out, and if they can continue to pick up those points, they should be able to stay alive as well. And I do want to say with Bologna, who are only 13th, but they are 6 points away. Anything can happen, but they have looked poor as well. Mihailovic not getting the results he would have hoped. His team isn't playing up to expectations considering the talent that they have. They would want to be closer to the top 10. So maybe any signings could potentially help. Fiorentina, shaky, they're at around the mid-table, but they have looked really shaky as of late and very inconsistent. They do have Vlahovic, who is scoring his career high 7 goals in a season. So if you can continue like that and putting the balls in the net, they could really assure themselves a decent season, we'll say. So Swallow dropped all the way down to 9, considering they're in the top 4, but I think that was expected of them. But they want to do much better, as De Zerbi has stated, because they have conceded a lot of goals near the end, or goals they shouldn't have let in, shouldn't have let in, but they weren't tight enough at the back to to deny anything as well. So there's a lot of things he has to work on, and hopefully he would want to get his team back up. They're tied with Verona on points after they had beaten Napoli for that 8th spot there. Verona could potentially push for that Europa League spot. Who knows? But the way Juric has them playing, they could be a huge surprise. And like I said too, with Lazio now on their 4th consecutive victory here, have moved up, are tied points with Napoli after that defeat. And again, Napoli are a game in hand as well, but Lazio just getting back to that European qualification spot. And an interesting here, 9 points separates the 1st place team from the 7th place team. So the gap has been cut much shorter, as Atalanta and Juve were also both 10 points behind Milan into this round, as they both won. Milan lost as well. It only brings them within 7 points, so that's not that big of a gap anymore if both teams want to qualify for the Champions League. Juve looking for for that 10th consecutive Scudetto. It's going to be a huge challenge for them to do it, but they have to hope Milan will look to slip a little bit in these next few games coming up. Now the top, Atalanta is 5th right now, like I said, tied with Juventus. Napoli in 6th, 34 points. They're a little disappointing, like I said, very inconsistent. They can win 2-3 games in a row, but then lose a game they should have won as well. So, and they play very poorly at the same time. They hope to get back into Champions League, so they really need to pick themselves up, and it's time to see how they pick themselves up, especially they do have to play that game against Juve. So if they want to do better than they did in the Super Cup, they have to really find form as well. Top 3 now are Roma, Inter, and then Milan on top. Roma are only 4 points back of Inter and 6 points back of Milan at 37, Inter 41, and then Milan at 43. Milan had the best momentum going forward. If it's theirs to lose right now in some ways, I know they aren't at the favorites to make, or to, in some points they are the favorites and some points they're not. A lot of people are still saying Juve and Inter. I don't want to say anything just yet because it's only the halfway stage. It's still very close. As we get closer, I would want to say if it's between these two sides or not, or yeah, if Juve's enter the race. So it's still a lot to say who can be on top. Come like 4 games into the Ritorno, right? Um, but Milan are happy as they're in the top four, and that's been their main goal. Especially they were returning to Champions League football, so they are happy with that. At least being in the top four, they are even happier being on top. Inter will look to capitalize in their few matches coming up, considering there is a derby as well. So that is another game to look forward to, and Milan could potentially have the head-to-head in that, depending how the result comes about. So that's one game you do not want to miss. So those are all the standings there. Tell me what you guys think and how you think some teams should have been, or how do you think, where do you think some teams should be? Do you think how, I can't even talk right now either, but do you think some teams have justified their places? Let me know what teams you think have been playing poorly, below expectations, above expectations. So be sure to comment below. Let me know. So talking about the fixtures coming up now for round 20, opening up the Ritorno. We have one game on Friday, and that is Torino-Fiorentina at 2:45. This should be a very tight affair here, I feel, with Nicola coming in for his first game at home for Torino, with Fiorentina coming off a good victory over Crotone, who has also not won an away game at all this season. And just to mention that as well. So it's going to be a close encounter. It can depend on just 1 or 2 goal difference. Who knows? Because Nicola is still trying to find his way with the team. And I feel with Fiorentina could start picking themselves up a bit with Prandelli. I feel if they wanted Prandelli, they should have just gone with him at the beginning of the season. Iachini wasn't one to keep into this season. Again, I've said that before, but if Prandelli had more time with the team, Fiorentina could be doing much, much better. Going on to Saturday, January 30th, 9 a.m., we have Bologna and Milan. Now, both teams losing their last round, so they want to hope to capitalize, especially Bologna, considering how heavy of a defeat that was to Milan. They hope to take advantage of that and build some momentum going forward, while Milan want to get back to winning ways and try to increase their lead atop to 5 points before Inter get their chance to play and put more pressure on them going forward, because Milan need these wins. As we say, their next games are against Bologna, I believe Crotone, and then Spezia before the derby. So those are important fixtures before they have to play Inter. And putting on the pressure against their city rivals will definitely put more emphasis on why they should be on top of the season, or be on top of the league. And it also does consider on the tougher matches that Milan have as well. Sorry, that Inter have as well. So we'll talk about that as well. 12 o'clock is Sampdoria, Juventus. Ranieri coming off a good win over Parma, hoping to make Pirlo struggle a little bit here, but it seems like Pirlo's starting to find his rhythm now. Even though they did get that loss to Inter, they still have 4 wins in their last 5. So they have looked really good as of late. They hope just not to repeat another away loss and hope to do better and put even more pressure on Roma and all the other teams above them. And then at 2:45, Inter Benevento. Conte, again, we don't know if he'll be there, but more pressure for Inter depending on how the Milan result goes as well. And as I want to say, their next 3 games again are Benevento, Fiorentina, and then Lazio before the derby. So a bit tougher opposition compared to Milan, but they would hope to capitalize and gain as maximum points as they can going into the Derby della Madonnina. Benevento are going to be some tough opposition. Yes, they did win 5-2, but Benevento can play some attacking football and have caused trouble to a lot of the bigger sides as well. So look for Inter to perhaps find it a bit difficult against Inzaghi's men, but they should be able to come away as victors. Moving on to Sunday now, January 31st at 6:30, we have Spezia Udinese. Now this is going to be a huge match as they are both tied for points here. Spezia won the last match uh, way back when, so they could potentially have the head-to-head over this, but Udinese want to hope to get throw full 3 points here, no matter if it's a 1-2 nothing, 2-1, whatever the score is, they just hope to get a victory here, push farther away. Well, the same thing, Spezia want to pick up points and push themselves above the relegation zone and make sure they stay away and put other teams in that sort of pressure they don't want to be in. Now, moving on to 9 a.m., we have Cagliari Sassuolo. Sassuolo will look to capitalize on Cagliari's poor form and potentially move back up in the standings, while Cagliari will hope to get their win after so long. I want to say it's 12. It has to be 12 or 13 matches by now, maybe more 12, but they have not won since November, so they have not looked good at all. Now that they've re-signed Di Francesco, they would really hope that he repays their faith there. Atalanta Lazio is the other. Sorry, there's 3 9 a.m. games. Speaking of Atalanta Lazio is the other. Is the second game at 9 a.m. and that's going to be a very entertaining match here. Lazio and Atalanta coming off good victories. Both teams are in form. Lazio again with 4 straight victories, while Atalanta have 3 wins in their last 5, and they hope to pick up the momentum. It's going to be very tight affair. Lazio win, they'll pass Atalanta. If Atalanta wins, they will pass Juve depending on their results, and then Roma before they play their match this weekend. So a lot to play for here. Both teams could play really great football, so keep an eye on that one. I think it's the one to watch at 9 a.m. The third game is Crotone Genoa, so a huge battle at the bottom of the table. But Genoa in much better form than the Calabrese side, so they hope to pick up and continue their good run of form, while Crotone hope to get an important 3 points and potentially move out of the relegation zone depending on how the other matches go as well. They want to try to pick up these points, especially against the teams at the bottom. But right now, even with this, Crotone do not have the head-to-head over Genoa unless they go and absolutely smash the Grifone, which I don't see, but it's going to be a big match for these two sides near the bottom. 12 p.m. we have Napoli-Parma. Napoli want to pick up an important victory here considering the disappointing defeat, and hopefully Gattuso can find a way to regain confidence in his side and play much better, while Parma again struggle. They have not won since November. It could be a very difficult side, but they could still take advantage of this Napoli side and potentially come away with a victory considering how inconsistent the Partenope have been. So another game that could potentially have an upset, but it could even finish in a draw. It's really hard to say. And then the last game to end off round 20 is Roma Verona. Last time out, this again it finished in a 0-0 draw, but because Roma fielded an ineligible player in Diawara, Verona were given the 3-0 victory to the table. So Roma would again looking for revenge here and hope to put more pressure on the other teams under them and above them if they can get a victory here. While Juric hopes to get another good performance from Hellas Verona as they did against Napoli and even put pressure on the teams as Lazio and Napoli aren't even that far away from them, so that could put pressure on them depending on how their results go. That's quite a mouthful. Don't forget to let us know if there's any games you guys are looking forward to this upcoming weekend. So be sure to let us know. Comment down below if you guys enjoyed our video. So be sure to follow us on Twitter, Calcio_bros. And again, if you guys haven't done so, just click the bell to receive notifications on all our latest videos, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more Calcio content. We will hear from you guys soon. Ciao!